So this is a remediation video for 6.6 polynomial operations. It's going to be real short, and your intention is that you're trying to take a retake on 6.6 poly operations. So make sure that you're able to do all of the questions that are on the remediation page in order to earn that retake. Alright, so the first two questions I'm actually not worried about. You just got to make sure you add your like terms. So watch out for that. Maybe use some colors and markers or something to kind of combine the like terms. The problem I'm worried about is 3 and 4, where we're going to subtract our like terms. So on number 3, for instance, I notice there's a subtraction sign between the two polynomials. I would suggest you distribute the subtraction sign. And then it becomes an addition problem. So you can lose the parentheses completely once you've distributed the negative to the second poly. So this becomes, let's see, that'd be a positive 4x, and then a plus 8x to the fourth, and then a minus 8x squared. So this is where the colors will come in handy. You're going to collect all your like terms. I'm going to start with the x to the fourth power terms. If you add those together, you get a 4x to the fourth. Next in line, and it doesn't have to be in this order, but I like when you go in standard form order, you would be adding up negative 8 plus negative 8, and you get negative 16x squared. And then we have some x to the first terms right here. So negative 7 plus 4 would be a negative 3x. And in any order, technically, this is the simplification of that subtraction problem. So yes, it takes a little bit of time to go ahead and distribute the negative, but you're more likely to get the question right. So always my suggestion that you do that. Now when you move on in your remediation page, and you look at, just make sure I didn't skip anything. There's some more subtraction down there, of course. Alright, so here, these are multiplication questions. Product means to multiply, which we know really means to distribute. So you just got to be careful that you're distributing everybody to everything in the other number. So this 8x has to be distributed to both the 4x and the 5. So watching your coefficients and your variables, that becomes a 32x squared, and then 8x times 5 would be a plus 40x. And then keep distributing. Negative 8 times 4x is a negative 32x. And then your final distribution, the negative 8 times the 5 would be a negative 40. So again, you always want to simplify everything. So I notice we have some like terms here in the middle. 40x minus 32x. This becomes a, let's see, positive 8x. And everything else can just drop down. So 32x squared plus 8x and then minus 40, I believe, is your simplification. So it gets pretty exciting when you have a binomial, this time times a trinomial. So here, when you distribute, you just have more to distribute. So the 6b has to be multiplied by everything in the secondary polynomial. So I'm going to use colors again. 6b times 2b is a 12b to the third. And then 6b times 6b is a plus 36b squared. And then 6b times 8 would be a plus 48b. Well, that's only half the distribution. Now you got to go through and distribute the 1 to everybody. Well, that's not too bad. But instead of making a really long line here, I'm going to write the terms underneath their like terms. So 1 times 2b squared is 2b squared. I'm going to write that underneath the other b squared term. And then 1 times 6b is plus 6b. And then 1 times 8 would be a plus 8. There's no other constants in the problem, so I'm going to write that off to the side. And now you have this vertical addition problem that you could add everything up. So 12b to the third is only by itself, so it's 12b to the third. 36 plus 2 of those would be a 38b to the second. This is, what, a 54b? And then a plus 8. So going through, and if you don't have to use a calculator to do the multiplying and the adding, obviously that speeds you up a little bit, but if it's at the cost of you getting the question wrong, then it's not worth it. Go ahead and double check your arithmetic on your calculator. Now, these questions look so silly, like, oh, they're not going to be too bad. You just cube everything. Well, that's not k plus 7, hello, to the third power means that you have 3 of them. So this problem is actually a lot more complicated than it looks. So I would suggest you guys start by foiling or distributing the last 2 together first. So k times k would be a k squared. And then this next part, it's going to be a 7k with another 7k. So I'm going to go ahead and add those together. 14k. It's just going to be less work later on. And then 7 times 7 is a plus 49. So to use an old term, you foiled those together. Hopefully that's coming a little more naturally to you in your head. You don't have to show so much work, but if you have to show work, it's fine. And now number 11 looks a lot like the previous question we did. So we're going to distribute the k to everybody in the blue polynomial this time. And that becomes, let's see, k to the third plus 14k squared, and then plus 49k. But that's only half your distribution. Now you got to go through and distribute your 7. Oh boy, I should have brought a calculator with. Let's see, this is 7k squared plus 14, nope, I gotta multiply that. Oh boy, let's see, 7 off to the side here. I don't have a calculator. 98, yeah. Cool. Alright, so plus 98k. And then 49 times 7 would be, I always forget if that's 343 or 243. Well, let's see, 50 times 7, so 343. Okay. I guess I don't need to mentally do that. There we go. So now you're going to add everything up. And that's k to the third plus 21k squared. Oh, man. All right, so let's see. A little mental math here. If I pretend that's a 50 and 100, 150, but minus 3, so 147k. And then plus 343. Man, I wish I had a calculator just then. I know I was just lecturing you on not using a calculator and going faster, but not that time. Okay, so that should take you through enough of your remediation page where you're going to ace the retake, hopefully. There is a section at the bottom of the key. I don't think I put it on here, but it talks about how do you find profit. There's that dreaded profit function question on the test that everyone kept getting wrong. So when you have profit, you're trying to find profit, that is found by taking your revenue, which is how much money you take in from the customer, but you have to subtract off any cost. So often you see the notation like this: profit function is our revenue function minus the cost, oops, that's not what I meant, minus the cost function, which we usually call c of x. I don't know why it's blue, let's try that again. So the important thing on this question is, number 1, do you set it up right? And then number 2, whatever this cost function is, you need to make sure that you're distributing the negative into it, like all the way through it. So some of you probably got it wrong because you didn't set it up right to begin with, but most people get this one wrong because they don't distribute the negative. So go back and look at your old tests before you do your retake and make sure you're practicing those profit functions as well. Alright, make sure you complete the entire remediation page, turn it in, and you will earn your retake on 6.6.